Hey everyone, Nick here from Gluten Free For You. We've got another Photoshop tutorial for you today. And this one's about how you can draw a Macbook icon using the built-in tools in Photoshop CS5. And this is all a completely layered Photoshop right now. Photoshop PSD. Move it all around. And how you can do this is that you need to grab an image off the internet. I'm using one that looks a little bit cartoonish in the first place to give it a nice effect. And we're going to what we're going to do in this tutorial is that we're going to trace this out all in different layers and apply some gradients and bevels, and it'll look real nice when it's all finished. Alright, so to start, we're going to create a new document. I'm just leaving it at the default Photoshop sizes. Alright, and so to start, I'm going to open up my image. Alright, so now that I have my image open, I'm going to create a new layer and name it bottom half. Alright, now that I've got that done, I'm going to press P to take my pen tool, and then using Command plus, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and trace out this this bottom part right here. And when I'm doing this, I'm just trying to make enough, not make too many selections, but make enough so that it doesn't look jagged when we zoom back out. Alright, I'm going to zoom out now. And if I hide this, I can see that that's how it looks. It looks pretty good. We can always straighten it out a little bit later. Alright, so now I'm going to create another layer. And before we add any gradients, we just want to go ahead and get the whole outline of this all. Name this screen. And zoom in again so we can get more accurate and go ahead and outline the outer white part of it. Alright, so I have that. I'll zoom back out. And I'm going to hide this layer, my screen layer, and make another layer. And I'm going to name it black bevel. Alright, now I'm going to make my color over here black. Give it a black color and take my rounded rectangle tool now. Go ahead and zoom in. And remember, this doesn't need to be exact, but you want to get it pretty close as you can get to it. Alright, so now I have that. And if I hide the background layer again, you can see how it's all coming so far. Alright, so now we've got the main body of it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select the bottom half layer. And if you look at this, you can see, if you look at the background layer, you can see it's got some gradients applied to it. So we're going to try to get that same feel to it, give it some highlights and shadows. Alright, so you'll double click to open up the layer style panel, come down to gradient overlay, and double click on the gradient. Alright, so now we're going to take the black and make it more of a gray, just a subtle difference from the white. Alright, and now we've got you can play around with this little diamond here to get the starts and stops of the gradients. Alright, that looks pretty good there. We'll make this just a little bit darker. Alright. Okay, so we have the bottom half of that. And now we're going to take the screen layer and do the same with that. Maybe make it not so white at the top. Okay, that looks pretty good. And this, the black screen right now is just being a placeholder. Later on, you can select your own desktop image off the internet and drop that in there. We'll show you how to do that later on to get it all to look right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in there, and if you look at the original image, we've got a webcam up there. We're going to go ahead and add that now. So we're going to zoom in, and first off we're going to take our rounded rectangle tool and make a little long rectangle in there. And we'll name this Webcam. Put that on top. And now we're going to take our ellipse tool, take the black color, and make a black circle right about there. And open that up and take off the gradient overlay that it automatically puts on. Select color overlay and bring it down to a black. Go back to the gradient overlay, and I have a preset here that I made. I'm calling it Eyesight. If you take a look at this, you can see you got a black here to start, a black at the end, and then a small little gray in the middle. You've got a slight gray in the middle, and once you've done that, make it a radial gradient and zoom back out, and you've got the you've got your webcam now. Alright, so now that we've got most of that finished up, we're going to go back up to the webcam and add a bevel and emboss to it. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what changes we're making. Alright, so we're going to go down to bevel and emboss, make the depth about 11, make the direction up, and the size 9 pixels. So now we have the webcam up there, and that's all finished up. So now we can take the screen layer and use your arrow key. Select your the move tool and use your arrow key to move that down a little bit so that matches up with the bottom half. Alright, and now we're going to take the bottom half and move that up to the top so that it's over top of your screen. Alright, and now we're going to add the handle to the Mac. So we'll bring that up to the top, create a new layer, bring it up to the top, name it handle. Let's go ahead and zoom in there. And right about at the center, you can use your ruler up here if you need to. We'll take our rounded rectangle tool and make about like that. And now we're going to go ahead, take your paint bucket tool. Actually, if you go into layer styles, you can skip the whole paint bucket. Layer styles, get rid of the color overlay, select your gradient overlay, and let's make it about like that, and make it a linear gradient. Let's reverse where these colors are. I'll make the first one gray, and it'll fade down to a white. Alright, that looks pretty good. And zoom out and see how that's looking. Alright, so it's looking pretty good so far. Now what we've got left to do is add our desktop picture. Now you can either keep following this tutorial along, and we'll show you how you can create a gradient desktop picture of your own that you can add into this, or you can go on the web, and they've got a lot of nice desktop pictures up there that you can grab. So to create the gradient overlay, the gradient desktop picture, we'll make a new layer, name it desktop, and take your tool, your rounded rectangle, and we're going to do it a little bit inside of this black part here so you can still have the black trim along with on the laptop. So right about there. And so we'll double click it and come under layer styles, go to our gradient overlay, and we're going to make the angle of it about 45-degree angle. Come into our gradient, and as a preset we're going to use the blue gradient, and then we're going to add some more stops to it. We're going to make this one a little bit more of a blue around like that, a little bit lighter. That looks pretty good. And we'll create a new stop and move it about there, and make it a little bit darker, a little bit brighter actually. Let's go like that, and make another one here. Use your eyedropper tool, just kind of grab it. It's not working. Or if that's not working, go ahead and just play around with your colors a little bit until you can grab a nice darker color, about like that. And now we'll move it over this way a little bit. Alright, there we are. Alright, and that's how you can create a MacBook icon using Photoshop CS5.